Alrighty, guys. Today is August 20th, 2025. My name is Paul Smith with 12 Rivers Realty, and you're watching the 12 at 12. Today, we're going to talk about the Austin market. We're going to talk about things happening on a global scale. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about just taking that first step if you're a business owner on how to get more leads. And one of the things I want to ask you is are you currently happy with your business? Right? Is this do you currently have enough business? And you don't have to be a real estate agent to answer that question. It can be you can be an attorney, you can be a doctor. If you are not happy with your business, business principles work regardless if you're selling real estate, if you're selling widgets, if you're offering a service-based companies operate very, very similarly. And so part of that we're going to talk about today is also dedication and discipline and the importance of going out and getting leads. To have a successful business, you have to have leads. And that could be anything from, if you're a musician and you don't like the gigs that you're playing, what are different ways for you to go out and meet new people to get different gigs? Are you even in the right room for those type of gigs? And so we're going to expand on that as well. Other things we're going to talk about today was how as I took a step back this weekend and I was doing a map presentation for a client that's looking at buying in Austin. He's looking to invest in Austin. And as I took a step back, I was looking at the different developments that's happening in Austin. And as I started to connect those dots, I started to get started to feel like I was looking at a chessboard. And as I was looking at that chessboard and looking at the pieces of the chessboard, it made me really start to think, Austin is not playing tech checkers. Austin is playing tech chess. We're losing a lot of, maybe losing a lot of shine right now to the Bay Area. Shout out Bay Area, New York City. We're losing a lot of shine in the AI space, and specifically with AI, the actual programming and software piece, like your open AIs of the world. And, you've got Gemini with Google. And the more I thought about it, the thing that we have in Austin is just the sheer amount of chips and semiconductors that are coming out of the Austin area. And as I thought of that, I started thinking about you can't have AI without data centers, right? And so data centers are definitely the hot topic right now. And I think it's going to continue to be the hot topic for a long time. The other thing that you need, if you got to have data centers, you got to have power, right? You got to have power to be able to do that. And if you look at all the different pieces that Austin has currently right now on the market, not only do we have Samsung doing a $250 billion development in the Taylor area. That's 5 prefabs that are designed to make chips and produce chips. We also have Advanced Micro here as well. So AMD is here, another chip maker. NVIDIA just signed another large lease in the Domain area. And then on top of that, if you start to put those pins in a map, right, you've got Tesla, SpaceX, Boring, all of the Elon conglomerates currently in the Central Texas area. And looking at where they're at, they're everywhere from, you've got Southeast Austin off of 130 and 79. You've got Bastrop. And as you go up north on Bastrop, there's a highway that takes you smack dab right into Taylor, which is where Samsung is. And at the same time, as I'm looking at this, I'm also reading how Samsung and Tesla just struck a deal where Tesla is going to buy $16 billion worth of chips from Samsung. Then you drive the highway over towards Liberty Hill, and on 79, you run right into the 1,000 acres that Tesla bought for the new headquarters for their employees. So not only do you have now a $16 billion deal that just came out of Austin between these two companies, you also have Apple that just announced that they're going to do a $100 billion investment in their growth in the United States. And you got to think a lot of that growth is going to come out of Austin. And here's why. Their intent is to produce a new chip, a new style of chip that will work specifically for them. And who else better to have that made for you than your AMDs and your Samsungs and your NVIDIAs of the world, really. So those are just some different puzzle pieces, different chess pieces, if you will, that Austin is kind of putting in. As I start to stick a pin in these different things in maps, I start to realize just how valuable and how long I'm going to be on Austin real estate. Again, perception is reality, specifically in real estate markets and other markets as well. And if you look at all the development that's happening within really it's in Texas, but let's call it the 35 and 130 corridor. Then I was reading there's a company by the name of Allo Energy. They just got a $100 million investment on their Series B round. And their technology is to create compact, efficient nuclear reactors. And so if you think about data centers, you think about chips, you think about all these things, you need land and you need power. And those are things that are coming out of Texas right now that a lot of states cannot compete with. I think it'd probably be really hard for the Bay Area to just produce thousands of acres. So that way they can start to add data centers. And unfortunately, a lot of times, if you're going to start adding nuclear power plants and start to add nuclear, you also have to have a government that is very pro nuclear. Obviously, within the U.S., there's been a negative connotation for nuclear power plants for years, right? I don't think there's been one delivered since the 1970s. I think that's going to change. And the reason is because of just the sheer amount of power that these power plants produce, but then also the sheer amount of power that it takes for a data center to operate. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about today as we talk about long-term growth and long-term opportunity. As we're putting our money in certain areas, we want to make sure that if we buy something, it's going to be worth more today than it's going to be tomorrow. And that's always my investment strategy as well. The other thing is to really try to buy where they're not making a lot more of it, right? So if you buy in an area where they can build 2,000 homes, as supply and demand kind of meets each other, your prices will be stunted a little bit. Versus if you're able to find a neighborhood that's already built out, that's very close in proximity to other areas that have these different developments, that to me is something that you would really want to, really want to take a look at. So that way there you can kind of outpace and future pace investment in the real estate world. Guys, again, my name is Paul Smith with 12 Rivers Realty, doing my 12 at 12. The market stats just came out today as well for Austin. It's kind of more of the same as far as market stats go. We're starting to see, not even starting to see, we're seeing a kind of a steady flow of active properties, right at about 15,000. That means that it's a good thing. We're right at 6.1 month supply right now. And so the rule of thumb is at a 6 month supply, we're at a equilibrium market. That's a buyer and seller's market. That's the first time in a while that we've actually been at that. I would say there's maybe only been a couple times within my career where we've been at an equilibrium market. Typically, it's always been a seller's market and sometimes an extreme seller's market. The caveat to that is every neighborhood and every price point is going to be a little bit different. I just came from a showing right now where there's multiple offers off market, right? So it's all dependent on how you price the home and how that works. Basically, is pricing the home is one of the most important things. I think it's probably more important than marketing. More important than the agent you hire is making sure that you're working with somebody that understands the importance of pricing a home properly. Because the difference there is if priced properly, you'll be able to get leverage. If you're overpriced, then unfortunately at some point you'll see you'll be on the market longer, and then all of a sudden the pendulum swings to the buyer's power, or the buyer will have more leverage than the seller will at that point. As again, this is Paul Smith with 12 Rivers. This is your 12 at 12. We are currently live on Twitch, live on YouTube, live on X, live on Instagram as well. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Happy to answer anything as far as what's going on in the real estate market. Shout out to all my friends jumping out to Burning Man in the next couple of days. You guys have fun. Be safe, all that fun stuff here. But yeah, man, things have been going well. Things are going under contract, which is great. Again, I think the most important thing is if it's priced well and people are setting the expectations properly. Trying to think what else we got going on today, guys. One thing, billions of dollars of projects in Hutto. It's kind of a question or a statement, but it is true, right? There are billions of dollars in projects going on in Hutto. I don't know how long you guys have been in the Austin market, but in Austin, I've lived in Austin since 2001, got to Texas in 99. Hutto was, it was all cow fields. It kind of still is a lot of cow fields. However, you're starting to see a lot of development in Hutto, in a lot of commercial development, and that is because of one, ease to Highway 130, which is an easy way for you to jump on 35. And a lot of this is predicated on the ability to move product, right? So we have an industrial level, train system, which is the Missouri Pacific, which runs all the way from Mexico, all the way to Canada. And so we have the ability to bring in large scale product in whatever way you need it, whether it's building materials, whether it's oil, gas, materials to produce cars. And then we also have I-35, we have 130, we have 290, 10. So we have the ability to get product everywhere throughout the US quickly. And that is, that's something that's very important when it comes to development. And so one of the reasons why Hutto is expanding so fast is because it's almost smack dab in the middle of Taylor and Liberty Hill and all the development that's happening there. All right, Clarissa, shout out to Clarissa, by the way. Thanks for being in here. What are some, she goes, yeah, shout out being in the room too. What are some of the alternative places that someone could look to live besides Austin proper, like Hutto? If it were me and I was looking to move to Austin and I had a job that I could work from home, this is going to be price point specific, but I'll throw out some different price points and then we can go from there. If I could work from home, I was looking to spend, so let's say first 300 to 500,000. I would be looking at Lockhart. I would be looking at Bastrop. I would be looking at Liberty Hill, kind of in starter areas there because of the different development that's happening. I always believe that your first home is an investment. First and foremost, first home is an investment. I actually believe every home is an investment, as real estate is a great wealth vehicle. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but if you purchase a home and you live in it 2 out of the past 5 years, as a single person, when you sell it, you can take up to $250,000 tax-free. And as a married couple, you can take up to $500,000 tax-free. So the first $500,000 as a married couple is tax-free. Well, if you're at a 20% tax bracket because of long-term capital gains, that's $100,000 in tax savings right there. That is a direct line that's going to go directly to your net worth. That's going to be $100,000 that you could put down on the next house. Think about that. Instead of paying $100,000 to the government, you could take that $100,000 and then go buy an investment property with it. Now, if we were to model that out over the course of 20 years, and let's say every 2 years to 3 years, you're doing that, where you're living in something, you're selling that home, taking that gain, reinvesting it, and then buying another investment property. If you do that, now let's say you do that 5 times, you're going to have 5 investment properties as well as a significant net worth. This is all predicated again on making money when you purchase the property, right? You make money when you buy, you cash the check when you sell. That's the whole name of the game at the end of the day. That's how this works. Shout out to Red Bull, by the way. I'm still waiting on that sponsorship. They just give me product, but I don't know if anybody can get money from Red Bull. I'll keep working on it. Shout out Jeffrey. What's up, man? Welcome to the 12 at 12, man. I hope you've been well. Congrats. I think you just passed it. If I think, was it right? Did you just pass your Series 7? Believe so. And Jeffrey McCulloch's a good friend of mine, nephew. I met him at UT while he was a football player there, and one of the smartest guys I've ever met, and just continues to do it. And so, Jeffrey, keep doing what you do, man. Proud of you. Man, we got Yamin in the house. Yamin, what's good, man? We got to get you down here, man. Peace, Famington. Oh, man. Yamin is the dude. Grew up in Philly and is one of the most musically talented people that I know, man. Shout out to Yamin. Well, guys, we're talking about today is real estate. We're also going to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. I'm going to jump into that real quickly. And let me know if this resonates with y'all. Do you currently feel like you have enough business? And that could be anything, right? That could be like, I feel like I have enough business for my bandwidth. Do I have enough business, or do I not have enough business for my bandwidth and I have more time? If you have more time, then what you should be doing is prospecting, right? So prospecting is something that doesn't cost you money. Say, for example, I did a post yesterday and asked that question. And out of the responses, everybody that said I could use more business, I hit them up and said, let's rap about that. And the reason for that is because I think that there's a lot of kind of cross principles that work in all business. And if I can help a friend over some coffee or a conversation, help them get some more business, I'm down for that. But what I would recommend you do is literally just go down your phone and start a day and just send them a video that says, hey, Jeffrey, hope you've been well. I know it's been a while. Hope the family's well. Just wanted to give you a quick update, man. As you know, I just got into real estate, and as you may or may not know, I just got into real estate, and just wanted to reach out and see if you knew anybody that was looking to buy or sell a home, or if you're looking to buy or sell a home yourself. Starting a business can be tough, and this would be the only time that I reach out like this, as this is a little unorthodox. However, I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. Jeff, hope all is well. Hit me up. Right. That video or a video like that to send to everybody that's your A's in your phones, your B's in your phones, your C's in your phones, and at least try to do 25 a day. I guarantee you, if you model that out over a month, you will have a very successful business. And successful meaning that you'll get a response back with people that are like, hey, thanks for reaching out. It's been a minute. Sorry, family's been going on. We've had some kids. And look, we need a new house. Would love to talk about that, right? So what you basically just did is you've started the clock on that relationship again, because it's been a while since you spoke to them. Hopefully that's not the case, but sometimes that is the case. And so at that point there, now it's your job to put them in your CRM and make sure that you're contacting them and make sure that you're reaching out and nurturing that conversation and that relationship. Guys, make sure that you follow up as well, right? The importance is when somebody hits you up in a situation like that, follow up is extremely important, because sometimes we just get so busy that it's easy to forget about following up. I challenge you to do a video like that. And that's something I just did off the cuff. I'd probably refine it a little bit, but it would be something kind of similar to that. And I bet you that would work. So we'll see. Man, we got Faux Tunes, shout out. Thanks for jumping in here, man. Hope you're well. This is doing my 12 at 12, and it's an AMA. So if you guys got any questions about real estate, please let me know. Going back to Clarissa's question, what are some alternate places that could work besides Austin proper, like a Hutto? So if we're at that $300 to $500 price point, that's something that I would look into. As we're going to like the $500,000 to $800,000 price point, I would start to look at things around the domain. Again, the importance of buying real estate in an area where they can't make more of it. In the domain area in most of Austin is landlocked. It's not like they can just add 10,000 homes in North Austin. You can't do it. You can do it in Liberty Hill for sure. You can do it in Hayes County, which is why Williamson County and Hayes County are some of the fastest growing counties in the US, is because they can just add homes quickly. I would look at the domain for sure. I would start to look out at Southwest Austin, especially now if my price point pushes up to, let's say, 800 to 1.1. As my price point pushes up in that area, I would start to look at neighborhoods. And again, this depends on if schools are important or not, but I'd start to look at Dripping Springs. I'd start to look at Lake Travis. I'd start to look at Circle C, Travis Country, Southwest Austin for sure. If I was a little bit younger or didn't have kids, I'd really start to look at areas like Zilker, East Side. Again, that's all dependent on what's important to me and how I'm going to, in my lifestyle. Let's say that 1 to 2 million range. I would definitely be looking at, I think Bee Caves. I'd be looking at Southwest Austin. I'd be starting to look at Westlake, and 2 million and up. I would definitely look at Terrytown, Westlake, Zilker, Barton Hills, Bolden Creek, Travis Heights, all those areas basically that are a little bit closer in. And a big reason for that is because I enjoy going out still. I enjoy restaurants and being close to things like that. So as that would be my breakdown where for alternate places to look, based on price point and based on my lifestyle. Your lifestyle might be a little bit different, and happy to, break those different situations down based on what's important to you. Again, guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Paul Smith with the 12 at 12, the owner, founder, one of the owners and founders of 12 First Realty, also a entrepreneur that owns a bunch of different stuff, really, to include sushi restaurant called Toshikon. Shout out to Toshikon. I have a buyout this Friday, so if anybody wants to go, I got an extra seat. Let's go. Might as well make it fun. Let's do a little giveaway here, right? Also, we're doing a Love is Blind special this Thursday at Toshikon. We like to keep it fun there, so that'll be good. Love is Blind is going to be a real life, like Love is Blind. We'll have blinders up, and we'll be doing a Love is Blind tasting at Toshikon, which would be a lot of fun.
Love at first taste.
Yeah, right. Love at first bite. Sounds a little, that doesn't right. Yeah, we got Toddy in the house. Matthew, man, hope you've been well. Matthew, by the way, if you're back in town, let's grab some coffee, bro. When are interest rates going down, and when are your plans going down? Funny, those two things are tied like yo-yos. Typically, I drop my pants every time insurance rates go down. Everyone knows that, Toddy, because that's the best time to make some deals. Pause. No, I think interest rates, we'll see, man. I think right now, rates are hovering in the very low 6s to mid 6 range. There's talk right now that the Fed is going to drop rates in September. Now, understand those rates are not tied together, guys. And I want to make sure that you know this, that the Fed rate is very different than the rate for mortgage-backed securities, the rate to buy a home. The rate to buy a home is based off the 10-year treasury, and it's a yield difference. It's called the yield spread. Whereas the rates that Powell will drop, that's the Fed rate, and that's the rate in which companies then borrow from the government, and so or from banks, but ultimately banks borrow from the government. And so difference there is when the Fed drops the rates 1/4 point, that means my line of credit will drop 1/4 point, which is good. That means it's less money I'm spending on interest, which is great. The rate for mortgages in the 10-year security is already fairly baked in, right? So if they drop 1/4, there's a chance that interest rates will drop on mortgage rates. But if they don't drop at all, because rate drops are baked in right now and their assumptions that it's going to happen, I guarantee you rates are going to spike up. One of the concerns is obviously inflation, right? And rates are tied, Powell's tying rates right now to inflation, which is, guess I'm not mad at that at the end of the day. I appreciate somebody that's not going to be pressured into doing something that he doesn't feel right, which is great. But at the same time, as commercial landowners and people that are, as commercial owners that have lines of credit or business owners that have lines of credit, they would get some level of a relief if rates were dropped in that way. And specifically, commercial loans they're not on 30-year fixed. They're typically on a 3-year, 5-year, 7-year fixed window. And so as those loans reset, you're seeing rates pop up from like 3.5 to 7. But unfortunately, rental rates aren't going up at the same, and nor will it. It doesn't make sense to. So then that means that either commercial landowners are going to be very underwater when it comes to their monthly payment. Or their cash flow will go down drastically at that point. And then it's just banks are making more money, which pretty sure we can all agree that banks are making enough now. We would like to get some of that back. If you're a banker out there listening, I didn't mean that. Especially as I'm going for loans, don't hate me. But it is what it is, man. The hope is that rates are reduced. Here's the other thing too, is if rates are reduced too much, let's say Powell goes from 1/4 point to 1/2 point, that could mean a lot of trouble. And the reason for that is because that would mean that the economy is doing significantly worse than we think it is. And so that could also be something that's super negative. Hopefully that is not the case. But we'll see, because this is, I think, the first time in September as the CPI numbers come out. This is going to be the first month where the tariffs that Trump has imposed are really going to kind of affect those pricing. Because a lot of times these companies, they have inventory that they bought pre-tariffs. Well, now that inventory gets gobbled up. And so we're going to see, as they're ordering new widgets and new things, it's going to be bought at that extended price for tariffs and everything else. So we'll see how that comes. If the CPI data comes out really hot and it says that inflation is really high and we don't get a price drop, bro, there's going to be blood in the water for sure. I think interest rates are going to spike up again on the lending side, and that would be that'd be pretty bad. Because right now I think everything is baked in for 1/4 point drop. We'll see. Right now they're betting, I think Polymarket's betting 95% chance that that we're going to get some sort of a rate, and maybe more than one rate cut this year, which I would be okay with at the end of the day. Shout out to Cole. Cole, thanks for jumping in here, man. Hope you've been well. Oh man, again, we got 1 minute left, but this is Paul Smith with 12 Rivers Realty from the 12 at 12. We've talked about a lot today, man. We've talked about interest rates. We've talked about the Fed rate. We've talked about Austin playing chess versus checkers. And you start to take a step back and look at the Austin map and all the different pieces of the puzzle. And also, what do we think, if we're going to look at chess, what do we think is the king, right? We got all these different pieces, right? You got Samsung. Maybe that's the queen, so to speak, on the chessboard. I think the king, or the most important piece, well, arguably the most important piece, is the queen. I would say would be maybe Army Future Command and all the things that are happening with that. We also, things we didn't talk about is how the U.S. government is really looking at doing some dope stuff on the moon, and the different companies in Austin that are going to be working specifically to build things on the moon. Shout out to Edward Sells TX, Edward Flores. Hope all is well. Cole, thanks for being in here, man. Think about all the different things that are going to be happening in Austin that are space related. I don't know if you guys know, this is a company called Icon. It's a 3D printing company. We've got a current project in Wimberley with them. I'm looking at doing another 60 units with them in Northeast Austin. They've also been hired by the U.S. to build on Mars and to build on the moon. Those are things that are public, pretty dope, right? So that's coming out of Austin. You've got Allo Energy, which is a startup, just got a $100 million investment, Series B. They're looking at putting a nuclear power plant on the moon. And they're looking at putting a data center on the moon, right? So all those things are things that are going to be coming out of Austin. SpaceX, right? Where do you think they're going to launch it from? My assumption is probably Central Texas. How cool is that, man? Austin is on the cutting edge of doing some really dope shit, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. And guess what? A lot of that stuff is not going to matter what's happening necessarily within the economy, because that's stuff that's happened that's government backed, and the government's not going to allow that. Toddy said, happy belated birthday, Paul. Said I miss Paulapalooza as well. I had a private Paulapalooza on Sunday in your honor. Would love to see those videos. Love you. Great chat. Toddy, thank you again for tuning in, man. Someday I would love to have you on one of these, man. We could just talk about real estate and just yuck it up a little bit. Shout out to Adam. Adam, thanks for tuning in. Guys, again, this is Paul Smith with the 12 at 12. Thank you guys for tuning in. See y'all next week. Next week, Wednesday at 12 o'clock. See y'all again. Be good. Peace.